All right, class, I want to discuss the dangers of democracy before moving into the difference between monopolistic state control and competitive free enterprise. The dangers of democracy. This may come as a surprise, but our nation's founders did everything they could to keep us from having a democracy. To quote Alexander Hamilton, "We are now forming a republican government. Real liberty is neither found in despotism or the extremes of democracy." John Adams stated, "Democracy never lasts long. It soon wastes, exhausts, and murders itself." Perhaps my favorite quote is from James Madison. James Madison was known as the father of the U.S. Constitution. More than any other of our nation's founders, it was Madison who contributed to the written portion of our Constitution. In the words of Madison, democracies have ever been spectacles of turbulence and contention, have ever been found incompatible with personal security or the rights of property, and have in general been as short in their lives as they have been violent in their deaths. The dangers of democracies. Now, Madison said democracies are a threat to private property. Why so? Well, consider the following scenario. Let's suppose that the majority of Americans decide to live at the expense of the remaining 49%. We'll let those guys do the work and live on the dole. It sounds good for the 51%, right? Okay, but what is happening here? We are giving government the right to take from one person and give to another. In the process of doing so, that government gains control over both parties involved. The giver, by coercion, and the recipient both are controlled by the government. So, in living off the dole, you are giving government the power to take from one party, and your livelihood then depends on the charity and benevolence of the government. You are expanding government power. Now, power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. What happens inevitably is this. Government gains power, and once government gains power, it is loath to relinquish said power back to the people. In the name of social programs, in the name of social justice, in the name of income equality, you expand government power, constitutional liberties attenuate, freedom diminishes, and the government gains monopolistic state control of the economy. What happens? As more and more people live at the expense of the minority who productively contribute to society, people aren't stupid. If I'm a working person, I'll think to myself, wait a minute, why am I working so hard? Why don't I get on the dole and live at the expense of the working class? So what happens is this. More and more people stop working and receive from the government rather than pay into the government. Production diminishes. And in the words of Margaret Thatcher, the problem with socialism, government that is too big and too powerful, is this. Eventually, you run out of other people's money.